Welcome, Alexis. How are you?
Hey, Rebecca. Good. How are you?
I'm good. So, you guys, if you don't know Alexis Bethel yet, you absolutely should. She is on a mission to help women create an aligned and purposeful life, free from societal perceptions, obligations, whatever that looks like for them. She is the founder of Balance by Alexis Life Coaching, an owner and yoga instructor at Studio Ohana, and the director of well-being for a women's empowerment community, Inner Glow Circle. She lives with her husband and two Boston Terriers in Nassau, Bahamas. Whew, such a cool bio. Such an honor to be here with you.
Oh, thanks. You too.
Yay. So, Alexis, I know you've had like an interesting journey from kind of day job and more like a conventional definition of success into what you're doing now. So, could you tell us a little bit more about that story and how you came to be the entrepreneur that you are today?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny. It's like I look back and it feels like a totally different life. But so, I wanted to be like the president of the World Bank when I was like 13 years old. I was like, this is it. I'm solving poverty, like done, life's mission, right? And yeah, quite ambitious for a young teenager.
I
But
love it.
I went through and I followed that path, and it felt like success in the ways that we, determine success in our society. And I remember I was doing an internship in Peru, and I got this, the acceptance letter to Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. And I was like, this is it. Like life is starting, life is starting. Like it was just the best news. And I went to school, and I just remember thinking the whole time, I was like, okay, this is great. And people are like, oh, that's so cool. You go there. That's amazing. But I always wondered, I was like, when am I going to be the person that like can't put down an international development book at night before I go to bed? Like, when am I going to be that person that's so in love with what I do? And it just wasn't happening. And I got to a point where after I graduated, I was working in international development consulting. I was traveling all over the world to banks, microfinance institutions, like this like really cool job. And it was, right? But it wasn't for me. It wasn't aligned with who I am. I was getting pretty disillusioned about the industry. And basically I just got to a point, I was like, you have a choice. Like you have the rest of your life ahead of you, and you can make a decision to be completely paralyzed with fear of, will this work if I do something else? What are people going to think that I just graduated from this school 2 years ago and I want to go be a life coach and a yoga teacher? Or you can make a decision to try what you think will actually, create happiness in your life.
Yes.
So I did, and I have not looked back. I literally not one day have missed it.
That's so inspiring and so cool. And I know that like a lot of women watching this video, they're in that corporate job or that high profile career that they've worked so hard for, but it doesn't feel quite right. And, it's just really inspiring to see, everything that you've accomplished and to know you. So I'm curious, in that time from like realizing like, I don't want to read international development books late at night to I co-own a yoga studio and I'm this life coach, like yoga island girl, like, what was the biggest challenge from day job to dream job, if you will, that came up?
Yeah. I think it's kind of this idea of like, it's this fear of, wait, this is all on me. Like there's no stability, right? I mean, in the traditional sense of what we think of as being a stable job, you're going to get paid if you take vacation or not, whatever, right? This fear of like, is it actually all on me? And then of course, I think the fear that any entrepreneur gets is like, is this going to work? Can I actually do this? Am I actually capable? And I think that it's a really normal fear to have, but I would say that I truly am of the belief that if you are really in it, like if your heart is really in it, you will make it work. I believe that. So I think that that's kind of the thing that's the biggest fear. And it's just this kind of thing that keeps pushing me to go forward, even though I definitely have what everybody else has in terms of, your inner critic screaming at you on certain days. Like, are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you can? So I'd say that's the biggest challenge is, can I make this sustainable? Can I be consistent? Can I continue to grow?
I love that. I love that. And when that like critter brain or anxiety comes up, do you have any tips for like moving past it or flowing through it? I know you do a ton of yoga, so I'm curious if that Does that help or yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I think it does. I think, you know, coaching and personal development and yoga, they're all so intertwined, right? These are tools that I've just incorporated into my daily life at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Or, to cope with all of these things. I think kind of the biggest thing is just to realize it's like a natural human reaction to get insecure, to compare yourselves to others, right?
Yeah, totally.
But I think that the thing about it is like there are these kind of quotes that always come into my mind, and one is like, I think it's there's only one you for all time. Fearlessly be yourself.
I love that.
And the other one, which is really similar, is be yourself. Everyone else is already taken, right? And so I think
Yes.
that as we're kind of like navigating and trying to continue to grow but stay true to who we are, we just have to remember that we each have an individual role. We each have a place in this world. And we can either, again, we can choose to go down the road of, well, why is she getting this, or why does she have this, or why is she growing faster? Or actually something that always pops into my head when I think about it is something that you said on a call a while ago. And you said, you always kind of have a choice. You have a choice to go down that road of comparing yourself, being paralyzed by fear, or you have the choice to see what somebody has done and say, thank you for showing me what's possible. If you can do it, I can do it too. Right? And that's really stuck with me. That's really stuck with me. And I think that when I think about it, it's like, well, there's no part of me that can ever go back to what I was doing. I cannot imagine my life going back to what I was doing. So I can choose that road of competitiveness, comparison, all of that. Or like, what a waste of time, right? I can choose to be inspired. So that's how I think about it.
I love that. That if she can do it, I can too. And it's like totally a theme of the summit. I'm curious, has there ever been like a certain woman or a certain like person that's really like stuck out to you as somebody who's kind of paved the way, or that's like been one of those, if she can do it, I can too?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there have been quite a few. I think that probably the most like influential for me was my previous coach, Katie DePaula.
Also on this summit.
The founder of, the founder of Inner Glow Circle. I worked with her as her client for 2.5 years, which is a very long coaching relationship to have.
Totally.
But I think that so much of what inspired me was, she keeps chugging along. Even though there are obstacles, even though there are all these things. But I think the thing that's so inspirational to me, and it kind of plays back into this idea of fearlessly be yourself, is that she's continued to grow her business, to expand it into different areas, all while being like very authentically her, right? She doesn't do things that don't feel good to her. She doesn't, it's very authentic to me. And so I think I use that as a guide, as navigation for, you can be really successful at what you do, as long as you're being true to who you are and to what you're all about.
I love that. And I adore Katie. So something you said about like being authentic and true, something that I think is so interesting about you that people may not know when they first like see you is you're a little bit of a rebel. Like there's a little bit of like rebellion to you.
A little bit, yeah.
Do you identify with that? And like, what does that kind of mean to you?
Yeah. It's funny. Yes. First of all, yes.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because when I was, younger and a teenager, it was kind of like I used that in the like, excuse my language, but like shithead kid way, right? Like I was like, oh, you tell me this, then I'm gonna whatever go do this like opposite thing that is probably not in my best interest or anyone else's, right?
Yeah.
But I really use that to, I hope I've grown out of that stage. Here's hoping, right? But I really use that now as motivation, as this idea of like, I don't have to be like everybody else or do what everybody else is doing to be successful as I define successful. And actually that in speaking my mind and in tapping into my truth, whether that's somebody else's or not, and there's no right or wrong, there's no good or bad, but staying aligned with my truth is actually, I believe, what has really made me so successful is that people, I believe, are attracted to people who are authentic and do their own thing, even when it's not the easiest thing to do. So yeah, I'd say I'm still a rebel. I'd say I'm probably going to be that way until the day I die. But
I
I
love
think
it.
there's a way to use it in to empower people and to grow.
Yeah, and it sounds like it's an asset as a business owner.
Yeah, I never really thought about it, but yeah, yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is.
Cool, cool. I love it. I love it. So, another question I had. Do you ever struggle with self-doubt or insecurity? And if so, how do you push past
Um, yeah, sure. Right. Of course.
it?
Like, yeah.
Duh.
um, I think we all do, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that there are, I've kind of alluded to this, kind of said this in different ways, but um, it's the idea of, you know, there are days when the mean girl voice in my head is a lot louder,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And but so much of that to me, I'd say a couple of things. A lot of it is just the work, right? The personal development work I've done
Yeah.
on identifying when it's coming up,
Mhm.
and then being able to step away and say, oh, that's that mean girl again. Like here
There
she
she
goes again.
is. Like,
And not identifying with it as my identity, right? As
right.
who I am.
Hmm.
And just understanding that it's like a very natural human process to go through and that it's okay.
Hmm.
And that's where I seek support, right?
Yeah.
Instead of letting it, there have been days that I'm like, can I do this? Can I like actually, grow and continue to grow and have a successful business?
Yeah.
And when I really get into that place of self doubt, and it happens less and less, but it still happens,
Mhm.
I get support. I go to my coach. Obviously I'm part of Inner Glow Circle and I have all these amazing women to support and empower me. And
Yeah.
I'm the first person to call myself out and be like, I'm going down that path. Like, help me get
Help.
out of it. So yeah, so I think that's one thing.
Yeah.
And the other part of it is just this idea of like, I think of it like how you spend your days is how you spend your life, right? They
Oh,
say
I
that.
love that. That's so
And
good.
and how better to spend your day than doing what you love. So again, I just think it's a natural component to get insecure,
Mhm.
but it's about once you identify that, like get back on your path, put your energy
Mhm.
into something that's actually useful, right? And that's
Mhm.
going to help
Mhm.
you continue to grow, continue to inspire, and
Mhm.
even use that. If you're insecure, write about it because other people are feeling the
Yeah,
exact same way. It's just a human element. So that's what I
totally.
say.
I love it. And I love your writing too. I feel like it's
Thank you.
definitely like I think you really use it as a tool to like come more and more into your voice and come back
Yeah.
to yourself. So so
Yeah.
cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. So in your opinion, what's the best part of being an entrepreneur?
Um, Gosh, there's a lot. It's just
You don't have to pick just one, but if you want to.
see, this is so nondescript, so it's like not really helpful at all,
Okay.
Um, but I think it's just the idea of like I just love what I do. I get to wake up, and again, we've talked about how not every day is perfect.
Of
It's
course.
not, right?
Yes.
But I just can't. I can't picture what else my life would be like. And I'm finally at that point where I'm like, oh yes, I get to read Brene Brown. I get to listen to Marianne Williamson. Like I'm in that
Yeah.
place
Hmm.
that I so wanted to be before. And it looks
Hmm.
nothing like what I thought it was going to look like before, but the feeling is there. Right. And so I guess what I'd
Yeah.
say is like, whether it's that you want to spend your days helping people or being a coach, or whether it's something totally different, to wake
Yeah.
up and feel passion every day or on a regular basis is
Hmm.
something like I just never thought was possible for me. I was like, I'm just never going to be one of those people, like an artist who gets to wake up and do what they love,
Hmm.
but I am. Uh,
Yeah.
so I'd say if you feel that strongly about anything, whatever it is, if your heart is in it, you'll make it work.
Mm, I love that. And let's say somebody is watching this and they're still, in the early stages of their entrepreneurial dreams. Like, is there one piece of advice or and one last like thing that you would like love to leave with them with, or wish you'd known, or yeah, for somebody who's like early in their journey?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say this for me. And also, I have a lot of friends, a lot of really close girlfriends who are amazing entrepreneurs, not in this field at all.
Yeah.
Um, and one thing that I've seen a kind of common thread is the idea that you are definitively going to come up against points where you're not sure you're capable. You're not sure that it's going to work. And so I'd go back to what I said, get support. Like get
Mm-hmm.
support. Um, whether it's a coach, whether it's a group of entrepreneurs that you can tap into, whatever it looks like,
Yeah.
right? Get supported, because the likelihood that you're going to stay in something when it gets tough is a lot less if you're going at it alone.
I love that. Such juicy wisdom. And where can we all learn more about you?
You can learn more about me. Well, definitely on my website. It's www.balancedbyalexis.com.
Cool.
I also have a Facebook page, Balanced by Alexis, as well as an Instagram. All the same thing, right?
Love it.
Yeah. So you can link to my blog there, sign up for my newsletter.
Cool.
Anything.
Cool. Awesome. We will definitely link to that. Thank you so much for being with us today. Lovely. It was so good to connect with you and just hear all your wisdom.
Thanks. It was so great, and I'm so honored that you had me. So thank you so much.
Yay.